Okay. All right. The chat box is blowing up. Thank you guys. Okay, here we go. All right. So welcome guys to our One Team University call. I am so pumped up right now, and not just because I took my AMP products and I didn't have enough time to go work out. So Ben, you're getting me on full AMP tonight with no workout. So I have a feeling I'll be so pumped up after this, I'll go running just to work off some of that energy. So I am just so excited, guys, to see so many new faces. Thank you for joining us. I'm assuming most people are from Isogenics. Let me see some love, some excitement if you're calling in from Isogenics. Okay, it's pretty much everybody. I'm getting a few dull faces, not really getting involved. Yes, I see you. All right, so smile because we want Ben to have fun tonight. So smile. There we go. All right, guys, all of these calls are recorded. Hold on a second. James? Yes, I'm watching you. All right. So all these calls are recorded and they're found on my YouTube channel at Trisha Wilkins. And guys, please understand that is a huge blessing. These are just free to everybody, that we're just providing it to you. There's no cost for these meetings, and they're being openly given to you and your teams. So the worst thing you could do is not use these calls and share them with your team, okay? Everybody understand that? Okay, if they're being used and shared, then I will continue to share them freely. Okay, awesome, beautiful. So without further ado, center myself. I get all excited. So I actually saw Ben at a Isogenics event where he shared his story, and he absolutely blew me away for several reasons. One, it's not very often that you see young, fit men really being authentic and bold and really sharing their heart and soul in front of so many people. And I am so grateful for that, because I truly believe there is so much power in a gentle man. And we need more of them to show other men the way, right? So I'm so grateful for that part, and I'm also grateful for the story he shared, because we all know someone who is affected by not just health issues, but emotional issues, and being in a dark place and kind of riding that emotional roller coaster. And I felt so much gratitude when he shared that story, because I related to it. I had gone through it, and so many people that I loved had gone through it as well. And so his story has been very, very impactful. And I have my Kleenex box right here just because I know he's going to be part of that story. But tonight, guys, we are all honored and blessed to just hear from Ben Kelly, who is one of our newest millionaires. Super exciting. That's fabulous news, because it means that because he went first and led the way, he has helped thousands of people by his example. And that's why we're all here tonight, guys. Before I turn it over to him, please just understand that we're bringing this to you because we believe in you. And we believe that you can be that next light and that next voice for so many people. And so it's time for action. These calls mean nothing if we're not getting into action. All right. So please, as you listen, contemplate what's coming up, write those things down, and then figure out a way to get into massive action. I love you guys. I'm excited. And Ben, it's you. Time is for you.
Thanks for having me on. I just want to shout you out first, because you put this whole thing together. You put a lot of time into it, and you know, these things just don't happen. There has to be someone behind the scenes doing, you know, the brunt of the work, and that's been you. So I wouldn't be on tonight if it wasn't for you. So a big thanks. And no, I'm probably not going to be making anyone cry tonight. Well, my intention is not to do that. I think after that event, people thought my training style would be very similar to the way that I share my story. It's a very different energy. I mean, you know, obviously talking about something that, you know, at one point in time was very hard. It obviously brings up a lot of emotions, and it's then amplified when you know that there's a lot of people out there that feel the same as you. So, I mean, when I train, and anyone who's seen me train, it's a little bit different, a little bit straight edge, pretty much to the point. Not a hell of a lot of fluff there. So basically tonight, like I trust myself. I have always made sure that when I do anything on stage or anything, that I trust the process. I trust myself. I trust what's meant to come out, and I just enjoy the process, and I trust the process. I trust what comes up, and I'm pretty much just going to, hopefully share some things and some perspectives and some things that I learned along the journey that have kind of helped me and allowed me to move forward, but not just in my business, but as a person, with my mindset, the way I look at things, and just being able to be someone of value. So when I got started in the journey, very much like a lot of you, I was very skeptical. So, I mean, probably we could probably even start off with this, is the fact that, a lot of times we're out here trying to avoid skeptics, and we're trying to avoid, negativity or all these sorts of things. And you've all got to just remember that if we went into a room in Isogenics or at an event, and someone on stage said to the room, "Hey, if you were ever a skeptic, put your hand up." And I dare say you'd probably see about 99% of the room put their hand up. So statistically wise, the people that we're most likely going to bring into our business are skeptics. And that's what we want them to be. We actually want people to be skeptical. We want people to have questions. We want things to have to work through with them. So when they come into this business, knowing that 99% of the people who come into it are skeptics, you're priming them to be able to go and handle them with the same experience that they're going through. I mean, me as a skeptic at the beginning, I'm glad that I was, but I'm also glad that someone wasn't afraid to go and meet me where I was at, but also lead me to the answers that I needed to know to be able to go and make a decision. So where it comes in, one of the best skills is not trying to avoid conflict or difference of opinion, but being someone who becomes really good at nullifying concerns. That is the thing. Is like, I'm not trying to avoid it. I actually want people to ask me questions. I want them to have skepticism. I'm not going to make an argument, but I'm going to meet them where they're at. And, I create a story in my head where it's like, how cool is it when I can, show someone or educate someone, on what their concerns are, that they're not actually concerns. And then they jump on, they're able to share that, rather than being, they're skeptic, they're not going to want to do it, they're not going to do this, not going to do that, I'm not going to bother. See how different the same event, see the difference in a perspective there can allow you to go and be more happier with the process in trying to talk to people who are skeptical, or allowing you to not even try in the first place. Because you've got to remember that if you're trying to build a business here, most people in the room and in the company and the top income earners were skeptics at one point in time. They're where you find them. So it's like, we shouldn't be afraid to go and find those people and have those conversations, because at the end of the day, that's where most of the business comes. So eventually Peter got me on. I was skeptical for about 6 months. Peter studied exercise and health science at UWA, finished a PhD, went on to do a doctorate, left that to go and create her own business. And I even told a scientist of the human body no for 6 months. So, I mean, I was a brickie, scientist of the human body, talking about science of the human body, and I'm still saying no. So, I mean, I just functioned from a high level of ego at one point in time. I had such a lack in my life. And the one thing that I thought I knew a lot of, I didn't like the fact that, again, the thing that I thought a lot of and thought I was doing well was wrong, right? But at the end of the day, needing to be right all the time will hurt you far greater than being wrong ever will. If I wasn't okay with being wrong, I wouldn't be in the situation that I am today. Okay, so this is where we need to learn to be able to function above the line as a leader, be curious, to have wonder, instead of having excuses, having blame. So, obviously one of the greatest decisions I ever made came off the back of being okay with being wrong. And that just is okay, because you cannot progress with the same understanding that you have. If you're so intrigued and so in moving forward and progressing, you need to be intrigued in learning and being okay that what you know right now may not be the best perspective or the best thing for you to know, because if it was, it would have progressed you further to the point that you are now. So it's like we have to have wonder, we have to have enthusiasm to learn, and that is surrendering the need to have to be right. So we're going to go to events and you're going to see people who are going to have conflicting views, but I mean, that's just there to go and be a choice. It doesn't have to be what you choose, but again, don't go and say, you know, this is wrong or that. Be inquisitive, be wondering, question everything, ask where you are, ask where you want it. Is where I am where I want to be? Does this mean that I'm going to have to adapt different thought process to be able to get there? And this is something I said on stage, was you cannot change your life with the same mindset that created it. Okay. So the thing is that if you're so stuck in needing to be right, you're never, ever, 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 ever going to progress. I'm always wanting to, every single time I get in conversation with someone, it's not about me proving my opinions right. It's about me going and learning and progressing. And the more you can do that, the more you're going to progress and the more you're going to change your life. It's about having wonder. It's the same with traveling, wondering. Like I travel so much because I'm just enthusiastic about wondering, just like I wonder a lot with my mind and I wonder a lot about my perspective. And I'm always knowing that my perspective now is 1,000 times different than the one I had 2 years ago. So am I going to expect that my perspective is going to be 1,000 times different in another 2 years? Yeah. And how does that happen? Is the perspective I have now better than one before? Yeah. Am I excited by the fact that if I'm in wonder and curiosity, that my perspective in 2 years' time is going to be far different than now? Where do you think that's going to lead me? It's an amazing thing. So this is the thing. If you're not growing, and this is the thing, if you're not growing these days, you're not staying stagnant. You're actually going backwards, because the world is becoming so much more conscious. People are moving forward. The world is moving forward. And if you stay still when you do not grow, you're not staying still. You're actually going backwards. So the only way to keep moving forward is to keep growing. It is not to even stop growing and stay where you're at, because the world is going to continue to grow. So do not get stagnant. If you think you've gone to a good point where your understanding is at, or you're doing a little bit of self-development and you're growing a little bit, I hate to break it to you, but if you're not growing and wanting to learn a lot, you're actually going backwards, because the world is going like this. And if you're going like this, you're still going backwards, because the world's progressing. Okay. So, you know, I got involved into it, and I started to, I had a lot of fear in the beginning. I created a lot of, like, I didn't have social media. I didn't have Facebook, Instagram. I didn't like people knowing what I did. I wasn't really good at connecting. You know, I went to an event and I would have to grab my sister's arm and say, do not go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. I don't want to talk to these people. These people are weird. They're dancing a lot. They're super happy. I don't want to, this is just craziness, right? This is just craziness. So I created a story in the beginning, especially when it came to starting to share my experience and share my journey, or going to share Isogenics, that I didn't do it for a very long time because of the stories that I was creating. Now, I say this all the time, and this is one of the greatest things, and the thing that I always question allows me a lot of happiness, is there's no meaning to anything in life until I decide which meaning it has. No one else decides it. People have decided their meanings on certain events, but that doesn't mean I have to choose the same thing, right? So we're seeing a lot of people who, and you know, raise your hand if you do this. Raise your hand if you do this, and there's no judgment here. There's you know, we're not about feeding the ego and worrying and needing to protect our identity here as a group. That's not what we're here to do. Who here has who here has gone to write a message to someone and has been typing it, and then spent about 20 minutes trying to decide whether or not they're going to send it? Or go, I'm going to get on a call with someone. Oh, geez. You know, and just like this procrastination. It's like, okay, so let's give a question. Let's question what your story is around that, what you're doing. It's like, you can go and a lot of you could probably go and run around the block for about an hour. Is that far more physically strenuous than doing this or doing this, but yet you're capable of doing that? Because the meaning that you're giving to it is different. You're going, oh, geez, they're going to say no. They're going to say, am I saying the right thing? Am I saying the wrong thing? It's all about your perspective. It's like, if I can just type a message with someone sharing and click it, and then that's it, and I can go and share it with someone else. What if that was all there was? What if that was it? What if there was no meaning behind it, but exactly just going and doing the stuff that we know we're meant to do, right? It's no difficult than going for a jog or training in the gym or doing half the things you do, but when you give it a meaning, it'll frees you up. And the meaning that you're giving to it, you're seeing as a truth. But again, there is no meaning to a single thing in this world until you give it one. So if you're choosing one that's detrimental to you and allowing you to move forward, that's the wrong one. There's there's no such thing as wrong or right, but there is effective and non-effective. Now, if your thought is causing you to be non-effective, it's wrong. That's the only way you know that perspective is wrong. And this is the thing. If I have a perspective that seems super crazy to most, but allows me to move forward, allows me to feel good, I'm far less crazy than the people that are trying to be crazy, but that are unhappy and their thoughts are not effective. See, we as a society have chosen thoughts that we decide are sane, but because the masses are so encapsulated and captured into a prison of their own thoughts that the society has created for them, if we're thinking like the majority of people, then we're not doing the right thing. So if I seem crazy to most people, I know I'm doing the right thing. If my perspective seems a little bit off-centered to most people, but allows me to be effective, it's right. And that again is why I'm okay with people not understanding me. I'm okay with people not understanding what I do. I'm not waiting for them to understand it. Okay? As I put up a post today, is like, the world is a beautiful place because everyone's so different, but we need people to think the same as us. And it's a little bit contradictive, isn't it? It's a little bit contradictive to go, the world is a beautiful place because everyone's so different. Let's celebrate each other's differences. But you need to think the same way as I do. It's like, if you're going to wait to have that happen, guess what? You're going to be waiting a long time. So if everyone here is waiting for people to agree with your opinion or how you do things or what you're doing, you're going to be waiting a long time. If you're procrastinating and waiting for everyone, it's not coming. It's just not coming. So you need to be okay with that. Just like when I used to get on stage, like I didn't go on stage and talk for a very long time because my story was, I don't need to be seen. I don't need to be heard. That's like for people who love attention. I don't need to be in the limelight. People just love attention. I'm not one of those people. And that was functioning from a higher level of ego than me going up on stage and sharing. And this is why I don't get scared to go on stage and talk in front of people anymore, because I've just gotten clear on what the story is. Am I more worried about looking good or being seen, or am I more worried about serving a purpose? Now, if you're scared a lot of the time to go and do that, then you're functioning from this place, which is functioning from a hell of a lot more ego than going and sharing a story and going and providing value. Okay, and that's the biggest lesson that I learned, was that I was functioning from more ego, not doing the things, not going and sharing value and providing value and being more in the forefront than I ever would be if I was on stage or sharing or talking on this call. And that just allowed me a lot of freedom, right? And I'll probably talk a little bit about like what gave me a little bit of freedom, but I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to keep plugging along. So basically, in business and in Isogenics, where we have a responsibility, right? So basically that's the ability to respond. So we either respond or we react. Typically a reaction comes when we react in the same energy as what is causing the friction or what is coming our way. You know, blaming, excuses, all these sorts of things. But responding means you're taking ownership. Again, you're having wonder, you're having curiosity, and wanting to understand rather than to be right again. So being authentic and congruent at all times is just a must in business. And, you know, the best way to gain people's trust and to gain the trust of others, and we want to attract the same people that match the same energy. It's like we don't want to be doing business. We're not here to do business with everyone. We're not here to do business with anyone. But to find the right people, we have to be authentic and congruent and be ourselves. I've tried to do business with people who, in the beginning, I was not being as authentic. I attracted people that weren't me to my energy and my soul. And basically, it eventually didn't work out well. We had to go our separate ways. And they were at one point, you know, were really great, like one of my highest income earners. And, you know, the thing is, it's just poor business not to be yourself. We hear it all the time. It's like, you know what? Everyone just needs to be their self. And it's like, there's a lot of fluff around that, but business-wise, it is poor business not to be yourself. It really is. It really is. In the long term, you're going to be doing a lot of work with a lot of people that you don't vibe with, and that's going to make it so not fun. And I had to go and reinvent my business and reinvent myself because I found that this was no longer being fun. This was not fun to me after a while because I was vibing and I was connecting with people that were not right for me, and it's because I wasn't being authentic and congruent, and we had to go our separate ways, right? It's just that was one of the biggest. You have to live fully into it. Again, it's like if you want to attract the people you vibe with and make this fun and fluent, you need to be yourself. It's not a fluff thing. It's not a thing where it's like it sounds great. It's poor business if you're not. It's poor business if you're not. And I've always made sure that I've been authentic and congruent at all points in time. Like, can you imagine if I brought someone into my business in a manner that wasn't me when I trained on my training calls, how I was in my groups, how I was in typical life, and then they came in and saw the real me? Do you think there's going to be a level of distrust then? There's going to be a massive level of distrust. And there's always been people who have said, oh, you've got to be a certain way. You've got to represent yourself a certain way and this and that. And I was just like, I don't know. And then I did it. And that's where it started to get really, really weird for me and people in my team. So it's just like I stood up in stage at a David Wood event, and this was a really buzzkill thing to do. Actually, now that I think about it, I was at a David Wood event and I was 5-star, right? I was 5-star, and I stood up, and this was caused because I was doing business and working with people that I wasn't vibing with, and it stopped being fun. I stood up and Dave does a thing where he's like, what do you want to get from this event? And I stood up in front of, hundreds of people as a 5-star, as someone in Australia who was, really, known. And I said, Dave, I want to know if I want to find out if this is what I should be doing. I was like, I don't know if this is what I should be doing. And I sat there as a 5-star saying, I don't know if this is what I was doing, because I had again, this falls back into your values and where you're placing your value. I mean, there were so many reasons as to why I felt that way. I was wrong. I was blindsided. I just created so much non-fun and flow into my business because I was attracting people who I was pretending to be, and it got really heavy on me. But at the same point, I gained so much more stuff externally, like I gained more money. And like, if you had told me before my journey that I would have been a 5-star, having been a broke bricklayer that didn't like his life, that I'd be earning over, $6,000 a week, I'd be like, oh my God, I'll give my left testicle to have that, and I probably still would. No, actually the right one. Yeah, the right one's not as good as the left one. Yeah, that's the bung one. Congruency, everyone. Congruency. Overshare. My team's like, overshare. Come on. You're used to this, okay? But at the same point in time, like, my perspective didn't change. Like, some of the things in my perspective that made me so miserable before my journey had me feeling a lack when I got to a 5-star rank, right? So I was valuing, I said, my value is what I earn, what I have, what I look like, what I do, where I live, all these sorts of things. And I was functioning from a little bit less than what I was when I was really miserable. That made me feel that way. But then that caused me to still have a level of discontent. And I was like, why am I going to continue to gain more of this when I thought I would have already been happy now? And that's where the discord came from. I was like, why am I going to, that's why I said this. I was like, I need to know if I should be doing this, because I should be happy right now. And why am I not as happy as what I thought? And it's because I was placing so much value in things that were so external and functioning from such a high level of ego still, that it was never going to be good what I got. It was never going to be good enough. And that scared me. I was like, why am I still like this? I was just so confused. But then I got clear, and I went to work really hard on myself to change my perspectives, to change my self-awareness, to go and learn about myself so much more. And, like, I'd raised my level in my health. I raised my level in my bank account. I raised my level in so many, and my mindset, but like spiritually wise and just self-awareness, conscious wise, I was just lacking so heavily. And this is why I love what we do, is holistic well-being. It's like, if someone has a disconnect in some aspect of a life, then they're not going to be completely happy. And that's where I acknowledged that I wasn't. And I was questioning, where is it? Well, what are you missing? And that's where I found it. Okay. So this is why now I always, and I don't know if any of you notice this. I don't know if you notice this from the way that I do things or anything like that, is I want my value to be someone who provides value and above all else. And I want to celebrate and I want to value people of value and what they give. It's like we are one of the happiest companies in the world because of this. Is because the people who are the most celebrated are the ones that go to work to provide the most content, the ones that go to work to provide the most value. And that's where we as a group see value. And this is the best thing as far as a leader. This is one of the biggest things I can do as a leader is I will always make my value something that someone at the beginning of their journey can find value in. Does that make sense to everyone? Is because if we've got a whole bunch of people that are waiting to get happy, to have joy and fulfillment until they get what their leaders have, we've got a whole bunch of people not enjoying the journey, not happy, not being able to attract abundance, not being able to have those things. But what we can do is if we're someone who it places our value as the value we share, everyone can learn, everyone can share, everyone can provide value from day one. Now, if we've got people feeling that they can learn and share and grow, and that's where their value lies, we're going to have a lot more happier people, less people in lack mentality. And that means that we can cause people with more abundance mindset. They're more whole than anything else. And it allows us to move forward as a group so much more. So you never see me or many people in the company pumping up cars or pumping up this or pumping up that and watching all this sort of stuff. It was because I said in the beginning, I refused. I don't have an issue with having those things or people having those things or going away, just as long as they don't attach themselves to it and they don't make those things their value. Right? I see a lot of people in another network marketing companies, and one guy said something like, I see earning 250, 500 grand these days as the new broke. And I was going to swear then. I find it hard to say this without swearing. I found that disgusting. I found that I pinpointed that his team would be a lot of very miserable people. And he was going to be a miserable person at the same time. And I was like, I just love our company for the way that we express what each other's value is. And my value can be equal to someone from day dot if they're willing to go and learn and share. And I was like, I need to go and share more of how I think like this, because there's people like that out there that are being massive dicks, that are creating more lack mentality and less fulfillment in a leadership role. And like, this is the thing. If people are not doing, if people are leaders right now, but they're not becoming conscious leaders, they're not going to be leaders very soon. And that's the world is growing. The world is expanding. The world is learning. The world is becoming more. People are becoming more conscious. People understand themselves more, which means they can understand other people more. So the people that don't understand themselves yet, who are going to understand themselves yet, if that guy doesn't become conscious of the way that he behaves and what it really means, his people are not going to follow anymore. He's not going to be a leader. His team is going to be able to pass him, and he's going to provide no more content. And they're going to be able to call him out on all his shit. Okay. So the thing is, that is such a dangerous thing as a leader. Like for me, that's a dangerous thing. So through my team, and my team can probably vouch for this, is that we're all sharing content, sharing value, learning, growing, dispersing, and we're all equal. I don't have to have the mic all the time. We're all collaborative. We work side by side. I get to learn so much from them, the more that I don't think that I know everything. And I hope that they feel like they're in a group of people who feel of worth, because the last thing I want is a team of people that don't feel worthy, because I'm not going to guide them to have more of the external things for them to not be worthy when they get there. I can get them worthy now and then allow those things to be attracted far more easier by having them find their worth before that even comes. But that's a whole different thing in itself. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole webinar in itself. Potential. Potential, and this is going to help a lot of people not to take things personally anymore, because we hear it all the time, and we hear people at events and they go, one of the biggest things is don't take things personally, and everyone goes, oh yeah, oh, we shouldn't take things personally. And there's no understanding of how not to or why not to. It's just like, and then people still do. And I'm like, please do not give content if you can't give people a way of looking at something so they actually don't. It's not enough to just say, don't take things personally. Right? This is what you got to understand. You have to acknowledge it in yourself first, and then you can better understand why other people do it. Now, I get this a lot, and it's exciting for me because the way I look at it, it's exciting. Okay, so when I see someone who is living into potential and doing big things and doing marvelous things, my initial reaction as a human is to go, you know what? Yeah, but they have this, or they're from there, or their parents that, or it's easy for them because they're a dickhead, or, all these sorts of things, right? And normally people don't catch on to that and see it the way I do, and they go and disperse it. They go and write a comment, or they go and say it out loud, or any of these things, because they cannot acknowledge it for what it truly is, and it's their potential crying out for them to do more. That is all negative attention coming towards you is, and that is all the negative attention you pass on to anyone is as well. When you can understand that, you can catch yourself in that, you can acknowledge it and go, wow, this must mean that I've got another level that my potential wants me to go to that I'm not fulfilling yet. How exciting is that? Instead of going, no, you know what, they're shit, I'm going to try and cut their legs off. This is the thing. You cannot cut a giant's legs off and still be taller than it. Okay? You can cut a giant's legs off, but you're still not going to be taller than it. Now, this is one of the greatest things that I've understood is that I see it in myself first, and I don't express it. I go and say, "Ooh, you are being called to do more. Your potential is crying," and this is how it expresses it. This is how your potential goes, and it shows up in a not the best way. It shows up not in the best way, but it is so needed for you to understand that you've got another level. But then when you see that other people see you in that light, they're acknowledging in themselves that they've got another level to go to as well. Okay? So then are we then functioning above the line when that happens, or below the line as a leader? Are we more interested in understanding why they're acting that way, or more interested in blaming the way that they're acting, or causing judgment upon the way they're acting? And this is the thing, is like, I don't like haters. And it's not because of the reason that you think. It's like, I don't like that people are not realizing their potential. Why would I be happy at someone not realizing their potential? Why would that make me happy? Why would I embrace that? I don't embrace that. I will educate people on how to be a hater. I'm not waiting for people to try and avoid people hating on them. I'm going to help people avoid them being that. And then that way, they're not going to be affected by it. Is this all making sense, or am I just talking gibberish? Yeah. Okay, cool. My team's on the line, so they're probably used to all this stuff. They've probably heard this stuff a million times. Being of integrity and being impeccable with your word is a big thing, and that's something that I try to live by and best. Sometimes we got to really dig down deep and see whether or not we are or not. And sometimes it's harder than it is, but I'm in Santa Monica, Venice at the moment, and most of my team are back in Australia. And it requires me to get up at 3:40 in the morning on a Monday morning to jump on a call with them. I've made a commitment to them, and I would not have moved if I wasn't committed to jumping on the calls. If you say you do something, you do it. If you say you're going to be on time, you're on time. There is no ands, ifs, or buts. It's like you just make a way of happening. And it's like, this is the thing. It's like one of the biggest lessons that I learned from my mum growing up is she didn't have a lot of resources, and I didn't realize that until I was older. And you know why I didn't realize she didn't have a lot of resources until I was older? Because she was resourceful. She found a way. Now looking back at it, we look at all the things that she had to do to have a way when there was no resources. And we never felt like we went without. She was acting out of integrity all the time. It's not about having all the resources or having the time work for you. It's about saying what you're going to do and do it long after the emotion subsides. And do you not think that I wake up at 3:30 in the morning and it's like a struggle? Yeah, but like it's a commitment to my word, and I get up. I'm not a morning person. I struggle, So it's a commitment to my word, and it's important to me to have a commitment to my word. Otherwise, I just wouldn't make the agreement. Okay. Motivation can be a little bit of a trap, and I think I haven't posted about it yet. Motivation can be a big trap because we go to events and we go and watch these videos and we get motivated externally through so much things that it allows us we get too reliant upon external motivation. And like, you can be forgiven for being that way because we're conditioned to be that way. So basically, when we grow up, we have our mums, our dads waking us for the morning to go to school, and we don't want to do it. No, mum, no, I don't want to. No, I'm sick. We're making up all the excuses, and we've got that external motivation to get us to do something that's really good for us. Like, going to school was good for us. It taught us a lot of stuff, but did it take an external motivator to go and move us forward? Yeah. Same with our teachers, same with our coaches. When it was like really wet, like really raining, really cold, I used to play football or soccer, and some days I didn't want, and the coach would go, "Come on, off you go round the park and get you out there." Again, we're so conditioned to need external motivation. And then when it comes to building our own business, where like we only really have ourselves and at all times, because external motivation can only account for maybe 5% of your day, and then the rest of it's on you, right? So you can be forgiven to not having a lot of internal motivation. So people are like, "Oh, I'm just not motivated." It's like, yeah, it's because you've been conditioned that way. But how do you change your conditioning? You need to condition through awareness. Without awareness, you don't have any choice. So, back when I was home, even now, because I'm still in summer, if it was a really nice day, it would be great to go to the beach, but then I also have to go to the gym. Now, without an awareness of me choosing convenient over what's inconvenient, I would just continue to go to the beach every single day. I would make that decision to go to the beach and do what was convenient over what was inconvenient that actually moves me more forward to my goals. Okay, so we need to be more aware of the times that we're acting that way. Then we need to form the conditioning to keep doing the things in the times where we don't want to and it's an inconvenience. That's where your results are. Those results, that's where your results are. Your results, you cannot sit there and watch inspirational videos all day long because you take no action. You cannot go to an event every week or every single day, because then there's no room to take action. 95% of the time it's going to be down to you, and most of the time it's going to be inconvenient. So going and forming a new muscle where you learn to go and do the things that are inconvenient, but be aware of it and go, "Ooh, it's going to be tough. It's going to feel the same way as it used to when your mum used to wake you up." That frustration, that little, okay, it's going to feel like that. That's what it's going to feel like. But see that as opportunity to go and recondition yourself, condition your mind, condition your habits. And then you're going to start doing the things. This is where the difference between people who have success and people who don't is they will go and do the things when it's not convenient. Everyone can take action when they're motivated externally, but very few can take action when they're not. Okay? So, seeing everyone and everything as an ally. This is one of the biggest things I've learned as far as leadership. Everything is happening for you. Everything isn't happening to you. Sorry. Everything is not happening to you. Is happening for you. It's happening to help you grow. It's basically happening to see how you're functioning, where you're functioning from. Are you above the line? It's an opportunity to see where you're at. Okay. So this basically builds the traits, like the inconvenience. It builds the traits for you to not only get to success, but then maintain it. If you have too much of an easy run to success, you probably are going to lose it because there's going to come hard times to be able to maintain it also. Okay. So those things, the inconveniences, the tough times, the tough people, they're all gifts. They're all an ally. They're there to go and prime us. So when we get success, we can maintain it and continue to thrive. If you get to success too easy, you're more likely than not going to lose it. Okay, so do not stray away from all the inconveniences or the hardships, right? It's basically the way that I use an analogy to explain this is the beach is just down there, like your goal. Like, let's just say your goal. The goal is the beach. And there's going to be speed bumps. There's going to be traffic. There's going to be red lights, right? They're the inconveniences, the negative people, all this stuff, right? But you wouldn't go to set out on your goal. I wouldn't go set out to go to the beach and go, you know what? There's a whole heap of speed bumps. There's a whole heap of traffic, of red lights, even though it's just 5 minutes down the road. I'm just not going to embark on it. Or if I came to a red light, you know what? I'm not going to make it to the beach. Can you imagine if I was driving and you were sitting next to me and I said, oh, you know what? We're turning around. It's a red light. Oh, there's traffic. Now stuff it. And you would go, that's insane. Why are you going to turn around? It's just right there. The beach is right there. Why are you going to stop just because of the red light? Right? And that's what people are doing on the journey. They come to a red light or a stop sign or this, and then they stop. Right? That is equally as insane. Well, I shouldn't say insane, but crazy to me than going off to go to the beach and then turning around 3 minutes later because, you know, hey, there's a bit of traffic. You know, was it that important to you in the beginning? Got to ask yourself a question. So, one of the biggest things for me through the process, especially like with the public speaking side of things, is I was always willing to let people see me grow. I was okay with not being perfect. I was okay at not being at the caliber of a lot of people who are doing that. But I was always willing, and this is a story I created in my head. I was like, when I eventually get really good, better, because I know I will if I keep doing it. If I let people see me get better, they're going to feel like they can do this. They can see it. They can see the process, and they can see where I went from to where I am. So if you're waiting to get perfect to start sharing your journey and your team seeing you do that, that's dangerous, because imagine if I just turned up one day and it was like, hey, I'm freaking on stage and doing whatever and talking and sharing and everything like that. And everyone goes, oh, wow, that's natural. Well, he's the natural. I can't do that. It doesn't set the expectations right. So for me, and I'm still doing it. Like I jump on this call and I'm like, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to talk, if I'm going to talk clearly or people are going to understand me or they're going to vibe with what I'm doing, you know what? But guess what? They're going to see me get better. In 2 years' time, you're going to say, look, I seen that guy at that point and now I see where he is. Why don't everyone adapt that? Not be afraid to get perfect, because if you wait to get perfect, you've waited too long. If you wait to get perfect, you waited too long. Okay? Everyone comes up to me that's seen my journey and they go, wow, for the last 2 years, I've seen you grow. They've seen it all. They've seen me flop a million times and not do things the way that I do it now. It's just such a necessity along the journey. And it's like in network marketing, you have to really go to work to unattach yourself from your reputation. Otherwise, you're going to find it very hard. Right. So the opportunities that I saw to go and unattach from my reputation was continue to do things that I knew that I wasn't the best at, but I continued to do them. And the more I did that, the more the freer I became in my mind. The more less that I was worried about, my reputation, right? The more that I did that, the more less I was worried about my reputation. But the way that I did that was continually taking the action, even when I was fearful that I, wasn't going to do the best. But I was always like, you know what? I may not be doing the best now, but I'm going to let people see me get better. And that's what happened. So I created that story far longer than right now. I created that story in the beginning. So you know what? I'm not the best right now, but my story is going to be, when I get better, I'm going to be able to talk about this. I'm going to be able to talk about this mindset. And then I get to talk about it now. But I created that story a very long time ago, and I made that my story. And that story allowed me to go and do the things that petrified me. Right? Goals is a little bit dangerous sometimes. I think that what's the word on this? Basically, this is how I explain it. Goals are there for you to understand what is required to gain that goal. So we get a goal. The goal is there for us to understand the actions that are required to get there. Then we work our way back. We figure out what those actions are. We figure out what it's going to take. That goal is then gone. The goal now is those actions. Now, simply just taking those actions that you set, if you do them, regardless of outcome, you've hit your goal. Okay. A lot of people are so attached to their goal that they refuse to go and take action because the result, their happiness in the action is dependent upon them achieving the required outcome rather than the simply taking of the action. Does that make sense? So many people are so attached to their goal that they cannot take the actions because if they do not get the required outcome that they're attaching their positive emotional outcome to, they won't take the action. They'll stop taking it. They'll stop taking the actions because they're attached to the goal. And when the required outcomes aren't coming as thick and fast as they'd like, they're going to quit, right? This is the thing. If I asked you, like, let's go and say, you changed the world. You got to a point where you literally changed the world and people knew you and you changed the world right now. Just imagine it right now. You literally were the human being that went and changed the whole world. You cured this, you've done that, starving kids and everything, right? Then what? Then what? There's something after that. Would you then go to work to figure out, oh, geez, there's nothing else? You know what I mean? It's like, that's why we need to get good in enjoying the actions and the journey right now. Because let's even think on a massive, massive scale. If you went and literally changed the world right now, what about after that? Can you only be happy until then? And then after that, you find lack? It's like we need to be able to find a way to enjoy the process now. Otherwise, we never will. You're never going to enjoy your whole life if you do not enjoy the process. It's dangerous. Like, to me, it's a little bit dangerous to be heavily attached to your goal. I mean, you can be driven, but then beeline your eyesight at the actions. Then you're just going to get to the goal, but you've enjoyed it even before then. You've not needed to wait for the goal to come to be happy. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to like give like little short, sharp stuff as I go along because I don't, obviously I don't know who's on the call and I don't know, where they're at. So I'm just trying to rattle off different things. For me, my team is like, they don't really come with excuses anymore. They don't. They call themselves on it before because they're more compassionate to their goals than they are to their excuses. And that's because I am. I'm more compassionate to their goals and where they want to get to than their excuses. They cannot be both. I cannot be compassionate to their, as a leader, we have to be compassionate to know where people are. But if I'm compassionate to someone's excuses, I'm not compassionate to their goals, and they cannot be both. So, I mean, Peter was compassionate to my goals and she took a hardline stance. So anytime I made an excuse, it wasn't good enough because she was more compassionate to my goals than my excuses. So if you need to go and qualify someone who you see as an expert to be able to be more compassionate for your goals and your excuses, that's going to call you out. That's going to let you know that it's not good enough for what you said you want. Go and find that person. Go and pre-qualify them. Go and give them that ability to do that. Give them that access. Like my team, I've asked them on calls, like, do you give me permission to be able to, and like, they do not come with excuse because they call themselves on it, like they do it before they don't know to, because they know that I'm going to do it for them. They do it before I do it, right? They do it before I do it. It's because I'm compassionate to their goals. It's not that I don't understand how they feel and where they're at and how they think. It's just I make a choice. Am I compassionate to your goals right now? Or compassionate to your excuses? I cannot have both. Okay? I cannot have both. But I can have compassion in not being compassionate to their excuses, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so wanting to quit is a pretty normal thing. Like, I've gotten to like 7-star. My brain will go berserk and, stuff this. Like, it's good enough. I'm quitting. It happens like it's going to happen like until you get to where you're going to go to, right? But then I have a little bit of a chuckle afterwards. Like, I have a laugh. I'm like, oh, you're acting like it, I know there's like, I try not to swear on this because I know there's American, some people take offense, so I'm trying my best. But it's a completely normal thing. You're going to get that. Like, if you feel that way right now, guess what? It's probably not going to it's going to flare up even if you were maxed out and you were a millionaire. Okay. Those people still get that. They still get that. I get that. I'm not trying to avoid the emotions. I'm just getting good at getting past them far quicker. So it's like, I'm not trying to avoid those feelings. It's like, okay, welcome it up. Oh, that's interesting. have a bit of a chuckle about the fact that I was going to quit. And the analogy that I use and the way I used to explain this is, let's just say where you're going on holiday is where you want to get to as far as Isogenics or your business is concerned. You've decided where you want to go to. So you've decided where you're going to go to, and you know that there's action steps required. You know that you need to drive to the airport. You know you need to go through customs. You know you need to, have your passport with you. You know you need to get on the plane. You know you need to get off the plane. You know you need to get out the car. You know you need to go to where you're going on holiday, which is your goal, right? So then this is how people look at the journey and there's two types of people. And there's two types of people on the plane as well. There's the type that when turbulence arises, there's the ones that are freaking out, thinking the plane's going down and they're not going to get to where they want to go to. And there's those that understand that turbulence is part of the process and they still get there anyway. How cool is it? This is the perspective some people are choosing. Oh, this thing happened and it's going to stop me from getting there. This person has said this about me and it's going to stop me from getting there. Guess what? There was an article that came out that people were freaking out about, that there was isogenic, something like this. And people are oh. And then only for the company a year on to have flourished and to increased and to have gone further. And people are like, oh, it's going, It's like, if we look back in patterns in our life, we know that the cards are heavily stacked in our favor, but we go to work to make it more difficult. We go to work to not allow flow. So this is the thing. It's like, I was at one point in my life suicidal only to live the life that I have now. Right? So with the patterns of life, I know that if I go through something and the cards are stacked in my favor, I'm going to be able to move through it instead of saying, oh shit. Because if you look back in the patterns of your life, where you're at right now and hanging out with an amazing group of people, going to events and your environment being a really positive one, which most people never have, is a huge value. How did you get there even though all the shit stuff happened in your life? So how much more allowing can you have? Okay? How much more allowing can you have? You have never once gotten on a plane expecting it to crash. But people get into this journey expecting it not to work. Go and ask yourself, would you get on a plane not expecting to get where you're going? Do you understand when you get on a plane, there's probably going to be turbulence, but do you know that you probably still get there? Yeah, you do. The same with this. As long as you keep taking the actions that are required for you to get to your holiday. Okay? Is any of this, I don't know. My team are probably so bored with me right now. They're probably like, you know what? This is the same old. And this is one of the biggest things that, again, I revert back to motivation. This is something that Peter said the other day. If you're not following Peter like you need to, it's like she's an absolute beast. She is she is next level. I like to think that I know a lot and I learn a lot. But she finds a way. And I'm not just saying that because she's my sister. I'm not saying that like that. Don't get me wrong. I don't blow smoke up anyone's asses. She's legit beast right now. Okay. She's learning, you need to get around her. Absolute. She is some people that have been around for 30 years aren't functioning and don't have the understanding she has. It's uncanny. She's an absolute freak. Right. This is what she said at her New Way Live, right? Is we don't work for ourselves. Everyone thinks we work for ourselves. And this is why it's everyone will work harder in a job when they've got a boss than they will at their business. Right? We're conditioned to be that way. So when we come into a business where it's dependent upon us dictating how we do things, it's tough because we're so used to someone telling us how to do the stuff. Okay? So we don't work for ourselves, we work for our vision. Now, this is the threat. If your vision is not going to be acknowledged and created by you, it's going to find someone else to create it. It is urging itself. It's like an energy. It's a spirit. It wants to come into this world. It's going to come into it one way or another. It has asked you to go and create it. It is up to you to go and create it. If you do not go to create it, it'll find another way to do it. Right? So you do not work for yourself as of this moment. You work for a higher entity. You work for your vision that's looking to be created. That is one of the biggest things that I've taken from my sister, that I question, is this moving me? Am I working for my vision in doing this right now, or am I not? Am I skiving off? Would my vision fire me right now? Would my vision go and find someone that's more capable of bringing it to life? And do I want it to? No. Do you want to lose your job? No. A lot of time, no. Some people do. A lot of time, no. Okay. So we work for our vision. It's called upon us to go and bring it to life, and it's our job to bring it to life. Otherwise, it's going to get done somewhere else. That's pretty much an hour. So I'm good. I'm done. Is that all right, Trish?
That was way more than all right. 5 pages of notes, Ben. Oh, maybe 6. I couldn't stop writing. You know, I feel just a lot of gratitude for what you shared. I know that was really shifting for a lot of people. And I want everybody, if you guys will do me a favor, and when I'm going to post here just a quick little post on Facebook, please share your feelings and thoughts about Ben, what the takeaways were. Anybody feel impressed? They just really want to share something that kind of shifted or that they became aware of during this call. Please unmute your phone and feel free to share that.
Yep. Fleur from Perth.
Hi.
My big one was the goals are there for you to understand that actions that are required to get to the goal. So then the goal is then gone, and it's the actions that you are left with. That for me was huge.
Beautiful. I love it.
So to clarify with that, thanks for that, Fleur. And hey, Perth homie. Our goals are still really important. Like they're important. They give us direction. But like if we simply just take the action. So if you've got a goal to talk to 10 people this week and you simply talk to 10 people this week, regardless of the outcome, and you can be excited by that, and that's a win, that is going to allow you to keep doing more of that. And if you keep doing more of that, you're going to end up getting so much closer to your goals than if you're attached to it. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to give a different perspective. And you got to understand that I choose things, and I want you guys to choose things from all, like the way that I think has come from so many different areas. It's not just one person's perspective. So I don't expect people to take 100% of my perspectives, because mine have come from so many different resources. So, I mean, I just provide different perspective. That's all I do. I don't need to be right, but I just go and share different ways of looking at things so people have options, because a lot of people just don't have options on different ways of looking at things. So that's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
All right.
I love that Ben shared Peter's, we work for our visions. And there are times my vision would fire me, and I have to work every day to keep my job with my vision. So thanks, Ben, for that. And for not being stuck on being right. Sorry, Whisper's a critic too, so I'll mute myself.
No,
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
I think I took a lot. I'm taking a lot out of this. But one thing that pops into my mind right now is that comment you made about maybe you're not doing your best right now, but you're going to let people watch you get there, watch you become your best. I like that, because that kind of rings true for me. I don't know what I'm doing. And I've served in so many callings and positions, and I felt so inadequate in the beginning. But I committed to doing this. And I think if we let people see us at our smallest or most inadequate and watch us grow, it gives them hope. It gives them purpose to commit themselves to a goal and move for it. And, I'm probably not the best person to try to inspire or motivate anyone, but I hope that through my actions, I can do that. And I really like it because it gives me the courage. It gives me courage right now to start looking at things a little differently and strive to be better, even though I'm not at this moment. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One thing on that is, I don't know how woo-woo I can get. If we're not seeing ourselves as whole right now, it signifies lack. And this is the thing, a wanting of a goal. Wanting is also signifying lack. And the more you're focusing on a wanting, it's going to cause more wanting. It's going to cause more lack, right? Everything is abundant. Everything we attract into our lives is abundant, whether we like it or not, right? So everyone needs to understand where you're at right now needs to be whole. To attract more wholeness. Okay, we need to function in a place where no one owes us anything. We can forgive. No one needs to give us anything, because needing people to respect us or to give us something or to do that signifies that we're missing or we're going without. And continual signifying of missing or lacking or not having or needing, or, you know, this continues on this spiral of attracting more of that, right? And it's like, that's why sometimes my training is a little bit contradictory to the industry, because it's like I try to get people good with where they're at right now and make them happy with where they're at right now, so they can start to be more abundant. They can start to be happier now. They can be more intentional. They can take more action, and they don't have to wait until a goal arises to have the emotional outcome they expect to get when they get there. So to understand that everyone knows that we're all whole, we're all whole. There's no need for I don't know. Like, I'm trying to, like, it's tough. I need my own format, my sister. But everyone on here is whole. If you can understand that you're whole, and no one owes you a thing, you're not owed anything. Because if you're owed something, that means you're missing something. And the more you focus on missing something, you're missing more. And the more you're missing more, the more you're missing more. Right? So we really need to be self-aware on where we're verbalizing things and the way that we're looking at things. Right? And this is one big thing that I hope you got, is like seeing everything as an ally. Seeing everything that you feel, seeing everything that you see, seeing everything that everyone else does, seeing everything that comes your way, good or bad, as an ally. You can start to function from a place where you start to feel more whole and there's less lack. But thanks for your share, Doris. Like, loved it. Thank you so much for that. See, even doing that, Doris, so this is the thing. This is what my group knows really well, is you doing what you did just now gives permission to someone who's on the line that may be waiting to go and be able to share, right? So you might find what you did right now for you as a simple little thing, but by your example, that gives someone permission, right? You went on and brought value to this call, and that's something that everyone can do, and everyone can now feel that they can go and provide that value, right? You're a permission bearer. That was amazing what you just did.
Hey, Ben, can I check?
Yep.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you.
All right. Just something that you said about prioritising your time. Even at the later end of the call, you talked about, the beach is over there. I want to go to the beach. Well, I'm obviously at work and I'm kind of sat outside the gym, and I saw your little message about the call. And I thought, this is my only time to go to the gym today. But I obviously thought, what's more important? I can go home and do some press-ups tonight and a bit of a hip workout, but I can't really get back on this call. So it little twigged for me halfway through the call that, I was itching to get off the call. I was thinking, what's the right time for me to leave this call from Ben, because I need to get to the gym? And then it hit me that this call is way more important than going to the gym. I can squeeze that into my day later on tonight when the kids have gone to bed. I can't get this 1 hour back. And it was like a light bulb moment. I thought, maybe I'm not prioritizing my time where I should be. So I'm more concentrating on my own goals. I'm not prioritizing my time on sharing and putting myself out there and getting rid of that fear that I have of talking about isogenics. I went to my first ISA uni this week, and within a day of going to ISA uni, I've posted twice on Facebook about isogenics. I've not mentioned the word isogenics for 6 months on Facebook, but yeah, I posted it three times because I posted about it today, and I've put a couple of power posts out there. So when you talk about events, I now see the vision of what you're saying about the events and the power of them, because it's really impacted me over this last few days since the weekend just gone.
Thank you so much for that, mate. I mean, even people are commenting on the forum, loving your share. So it's good to see your face. No, it's good to see your face. But yeah, I mean, we just need to be resourceful. I mean, again, it's like we're going to have inconveniences. It's like we have to make those decisions daily. And again, you're going to be able to go home and smash out a workout. You got to just make ways, you know? So appreciate that. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, thank you. That this has been amazing. And one thing that has really stuck with me is when you gave your little analogy about the traffic light. You know, the fact that if you want to get somewhere, if I want to go to the beach or wherever I'm going, just because I'm stuck at a traffic light, it doesn't mean I'm going to turn around and go back. And that turned on a light bulb for me, because this does get hard and it does get intimidating, and you encounter traffic, and you know, I have paused and stopped from time to time and turned around and doubted and wondered, oh, is this for me? Is this something that I can even do? And that traffic light analogy really kind of brought it home that, you know, you're going to encounter traffic and you either have to get through it or find another route, and, you know, just not give up on getting to where you want to be. And so I just thought that was a nice little nugget that I'm totally going to take away, along with my 2 pages of notes that I took. But thank you. This is great.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. You know, one thing that really helps with that is to burn your boats. And what that means is basically there's a story of war where this whole platoon or whatever it is went to this island to go and fight, burn the ships. So basically they went there, and then what they did is they got there and they felt fear. But what they did was they burned the boat, so there was no going back. I think when people decide that they're going to burn the boats, there's no going back. It's happening. I'm going to do this until. Then a lot of that quitting that starts to drift out of your thing. It's like, I burned the boat. It's like, I can't go back. Why would you want to go back? You've already come so far, you know? So burn the boats. Like, that's all I did, is I just burned the boats. So I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to what I knew before. And then even when the times where it flared up, like, I had the thoughts, but then it never came to fruition. It just never came to. There were so many times I wanted to quit, and then the next week something amazing happened. But if I had done it, I would have not continued to take the actions required, and that great thing would never have happened.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so very much for all your shares. You really just amplified the call to a whole new level. And Doris, thank you for starting that out. And Margaret, I love when people go first. That's amazing what happens afterwards. So anyway, Ben, thank you so much. That was, I think that was Cortez, the Burn the Ships. I love that story. So, you know, it's kind of funny. As you were talking, I kept thinking about Happy Gilmore. Have you seen the movie? When he's in the
I remind you of Happy Gilmore.
Stop yourself. When he's in the batting cages and all these, you know, the balls are hitting him, he's like, oh, that felt good, bring it on, right? And it's just that whole philosophy of it's not going to kill us. It makes us stronger. The end goal is what we have to focus. I just love all that. Thank you so much, Krista, for your share, because that was a big takeaway for me as well. Anyway, Ben, I'm going to let you close here so we can get off the call, but I just thank you, every single person who showed up and not just spoke, but shared your hearts and your love, and we're here listening. And thank you guys, the ones that were brave and shared those feelings. Doris, I just mad love for you right now. You know how much I love you, girl. And you know, it's amazing. Just last thought, sorry, it's kind of popped into my mind, but this is an extreme example, Doris, but you know, people, if you're in danger, if your life is in danger, right? If your life is in danger, you're not looking around and choosing who you want to save you. You're just reaching your hand out and you're wanting somebody to save you. And we just have to go out and save people, because they're not looking. They're not judging us. They're not looking for the things that you don't have. They're just looking for what you have, right? And people like Doris, you have incredible, beautiful gifts. Use those gifts. There are people looking for you. So thank you, everybody, for being here. This was recorded. Yes, again, it's on my YouTube channel, Trisha Wilkins. I'll post in our group, and Ben can share it in your team page. Love you guys. Love you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let you close. Last word.
Oh, me? Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone who jumped on. Any opportunity that I get to be of service obviously makes me happy. I love doing this. Again, any opportunity I get to be able to go and hopefully give some sort of value, I'm always up for that. So just thank you for creating the space, Trisha, allowing me to come into it and allowing everyone else to step into it as well. So thank you, and thanks everyone.
You are very welcome. All right, guys. Good night.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead and wave for the selfie here. There we go.
Thank you.
I'm gonna end it. You can say goodbye.